Alright, PAX, rundown, recap, rerun, cap, down. So PAX Prime is already long over and everyone else has covered the bigger stuff. The news, the panels, the highlights, the cosplay, the awesome people, the parties. So what's my take on it that's relevant to me and the channel? Well, there's the human element, the overall story of flying down from Canada, seeing the West Coast forest fires from the sky, the smoke gathering in the mountain valleys as the sun sets. There's standing in line, followed by more standing in line, followed by standing in large crowds. There's hanging out with awesome people at parties. There's meeting people you deeply respect and turning into a blubbering fanboy. Meeting Felicia really was the high point for me, though. No joke, it was big for me. So there's all the noise and chaos and fun and boredom and new short-term friends and all of that, but what's to be sussed out? Well, here's something to talk about. Are you familiar with pin trading? So Pinny Arcade is something that the PA people started a few years ago based off of the pin trading thing that Disneyland does. The PA merch team, along with a handful of other companies like Wizards of the Coast, make official trading pins and then fans collect and trade them. And that right there is pretty much the line. That's the sum total volume of information that 90% of you care about ever hearing. But bear with me for a second. So there's an internal economy to the trading. Different pins are, of course, harder or easier to get a hold of. Some are produced in huge numbers and are widely available at a variety of different events, while others are produced in incredibly limited quantities and available only through ridiculously circuitous means. Some are just sold as general merch, while others cost time or effort or just dumb luck. The community has developed its own jargon to describe the economy, such as a pay pin versus a play pin, a pin that can be bought as general merch versus one that you get by playing a company's demo. Fodder pins are low-value pins that are used to fuel other trades, especially with the Penny Arcade staff, who have special trading rules and their own unique pin. Various people gain some measure of status or notoriety in the community by virtue of having a large collection or being a toxic trader or just being particularly active on the community forums. In fact, on Sunday night, because I am nothing if not a huge nerd, I went to the big trading event at the Westin Hotel, my modest collection of pins hanging around my neck on a lanyard, and I stumbled into subculture history as I watched two people spend the better part of an hour hashing out a trade over the coveted Kickstarter pin. And despite the fact that I had never before heard of this pin prior to the event, and was in every way, shape, and form a new initiate to the language being spoken, I found myself a part of the enthralled crowd watching the trade, my excitement rising as they bargained, running down checklists and counting and recounting the inventory at stake. And along with everyone else watching, I clapped and cheered when they shook hands and sealed the trade. It was fascinating. It was subculture in motion, a microcosm of language and culture and value, and I got caught up in it in a big way. In fact, I spent most of the convention chasing down pins, getting duplicates that I could use to trade for pins that I wanted, making trades for pins that I figure other people will want in the future, and that in turn will let me leverage for pins that I want to have. I arrived on Friday with a single lanyard of straggler pins left over from 2014, and by Monday I had upgraded to a pin wallet because, as my friend said, I was starting to look like Mr. T and I jingled when I walked. And you know what? I enjoyed it. Because, and maybe this is just something that's been on my mind lately, but it's easy to become cynical and to associate criticism with cynicism. You go to something like PAX and it's huge and bombastic and loud, tens of thousands of square feet dedicated to companies erecting miniature temples to themselves, investing tens of thousands of dollars into getting people hyped for their products. The pin trading itself is root and branch, an alternate revenue stream that doubles as promotional material. I spent a ridiculous amount of time around Motiga's booth for Gigantic because the TO pin was a pain in the ass to get. But I wanted it, both for completion and because it's actually pretty sweet. Yes, it was 100% promotional, and it worked. I hadn't even heard of Motiga or Gigantic prior to PAX, but now I'm honestly kind of excited to play the beta when it goes live. So here's the thing. Just because there's people out there whose job is to generate hype doesn't mean we should feel bad about being hyped. We can be both things. We can be critical of culture and its products. We can be aware of the mechanisms of subculture and how we interface with them. We can and should be cognizant and critical and even a little suspicious of where corporation and culture meet, where subcultures form around consumption. And we can still let ourselves get excited and enjoy the human connections that we form in those spaces, as microcosmic and oblique as they may be. And so, go in peace, my children, in the name of like, share, and subscribe. Amen.